Hi there. Welcome to the New Life Wellness Podcast. Today we have Colter Smith, an amazing breathwork and energy healer that has been in the holistic modality space for years. Super excited to have you on today. Um, I've never we've connected quite a bit, but we've never gotten a chance to really break through and hear your backstory and what led you to where you're at. Do you want to tell our guests what you do, how you got into it, and kind of lean into how it started all?
Absolutely. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, there's a lot to it of a personal journey that I've been on that can help a lot of people in many ways because I love to do breathwork classes, meditation classes, getting in a positive mindset. I'm a self-improvement junkie to a point. And so this is about a going on 20-year process of learning and growth. And one of my major passions in life is just to feel better
Yeah.
and create a better reality of your life. So everything's consciousness, everything's energy, and I enjoy taking people on those experiences. My personal background is interesting because I grew up with a great life, but a lot of anxiety and a lot of worry and stress, sports and whatnot. And as I grew older, I learned that I had to figure out how to regulate myself.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out how to get in my nervous system, learn to control my breath, how to learn to control my mind
Yeah.
and the worries and fears that come up and whatnot. So I'm not a victim of life and I can take control of it. So there's been a huge learning curve, but especially the last 10, 12 years, really dove into the wellness space and really activated my what I would call authentic self to help myself and others become just better humans.
Yeah.
Because also I think that this life is challenging and we don't have a perfect blueprint, but if we know a little tips and tricks, which we'll talk about today a lot,
Yeah.
it can help everyone out.
Yeah. And everybody's path is unique. Um, that's the beautiful thing about an individual is every individual has a different path, and certain things work for certain individuals. And what's going to be amazing about having you on is giving other people other opportunities to learn and apply those to their lives.
Absolutely. That's kind of our goal of today is to give some information and knowledge and then have you, whoever's listening, the listener, implement it. Because,
Yeah.
and in my life, it's been different seasons too.
Yeah.
Sometimes I was years into yoga and then I got back into weightlifting and then I was in a lot of meditation. Then I decided, no, it's more important to be in community and active. And you just got to figure out who you are and what really resonates in this moment in time. So,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So let's start from the beginning. When did you first start getting into wellness?
Sure.
Tell us a little bit of background.
The background was early 20s. I kind of went down the spirituality path and learned a lot about how to control your mind and consciousness and just learning and growth. I got really into Tony Robbins and those types of things, but also just in mind expanding books and lots of learning, like lots and lots and lots of podcasts. And I got fascinated with how do you be your best self?
Yeah.
Like this idea of awakening or expansion. So what I did a lot of was putting myself, I guess, to the test to see what worked and what didn't.
Hmm.
I love meditation and I love mindfulness in general, so I resonated with that. And then some friends and I, way back in the day, we started doing classes where we would teach people how to get into their hearts and how to get into their feelings
Yeah.
and do it in a safe, supportive way because it's so important to create that safe space inside yourself and others.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got addicted to creating that, which
Yeah.
you do as well. And it's a beautiful thing. So I've done now close to 700 events since I think roughly 2009. And it's great to see like every walk of life come in. And so what I did was I just learned what worked and what didn't. Incorporating breathwork is one of the main staple points because breathwork can be so powerful, but it's getting people in their body, in the right mind, in the space that allows them to feel, to heal,
Yeah.
and get rid of the judgmental mind and all that. And sometimes it is that deep class or a retreat that really helps them, or it's just little things here and there that they can do in the day-to-day life. That's what I've done. So every day I try to do about 4 things. It's on my checklist. Some sort of meditation, mindfulness of movement.
When you do meditation, what kind of meditation are you doing or applying?
There's multiple. Sometimes I'll just be.
Yeah.
So that's what I did last night. It's like, don't do anything, just be. And the whole point is just to be peaceful in what is. Other times I'll do very direct affirmations and very direct commands, because what I learned is the subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between a thought and an actual experience.
Yeah.
So when you claim I am and you say it,
Yep.
your body energy, your physiology expresses it as truth into the subconscious. So I'll do that a lot. I'll say a lot of positive things and I'll say them out loud and I'll put them with conviction. Other times of meditation, I enjoy the energy aspect of it. And this gets into like the spiritual side, but everything's energy. And
Yeah.
when you say energy worker, that's many different things, but we're helping you move life force.
Yep.
And so that's what I'll focus on. I'll focus on inhaling life and goodness and energy, and I'll exhale all the BS.
Yeah.
And you'll even say like, take it. It's yours, universe, God, source, take it. I don't need this. And so you recirculate energy and life within. That's probably the 3 main ways I meditate.
Beautiful. I just started. I've always struggled with meditation because my mind is always racing so fast, and it didn't start taking a hold into my life until I was around more energy workers and alternative medicine healers and yogis and people like you that where I took somebody's breath work class and I was able to actually breathe through it
Yes.
and get to that point where I felt the energy exchange in my body. I started seeing colors. I started like I saw one time at a somatic breathwork class. I saw the stars, the alignment of all the stars, and then lines connecting all the stars. So it's like it's pretty amazing. It's like I'm a very logical thinker, so like putting logic to it all, like I still don't understand it, but like it's something where I've experienced it, so I can now give a perspective on how I feel about breath work, energy work, any of those modalities, and it's so amazing what just breath and meditation can do for an individual. But enough about that. Let's get back into what you were. So you do meditation. What else do you do? You had 4 things,
yes,
correct?
mindfulness of movement. So that's how I explain our mindful movement. That is getting in the body in a way that is conscious and mindful, that makes you really feel like you're in the body. And some days that's yoga, some days that's just intuitive stretching. In the past, I used to just work out and beat my body up, and then I'd be sore for days. And
Yeah.
we've kind of all been there. Now it's more of what do you need, body, and thinking of it as your body being sentient almost.
Yeah.
Where your body has needs, wants, and feelings. And some days I'll sit there and I'll go, okay, body, what do you need?
Yeah.
And usually I'll get the answer. It's not perfect, but it's like I want to just slowly stretch and move. Other days it's I want to take a hardcore yoga class. So I always do that. I will almost every day always do some sort of breath work. Been liking it more even the morning because it's so impactful, and it creates the mitochondrial boost in your body with the oxygen and all that stuff. That's the physiology of it's phenomenal. So I do a lot of Wim Hof breathing, a lot of breath holds that help you get into your deeper physiology. Those are 3. And then the 4th is it's like trying to create some sort of magic out of the day. It's like trying to get out of the ordinary and make life special.
Yeah.
And it's just the mind. It's like, what can I do to create more magic in my life? And it could be a connection with somebody, or uh, just mindfulness of thinking about and creating a reality. It's just something to make life more interesting and exciting, because the mind is extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And the neuroplasticity of the brain and all that stuff, where you can literally hypnotize, rewire yourself to almost anything,
Yeah.
and then realize that you have the power to go within in these different states of consciousness is huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
Um, so you apply those every day. What other kinds of means of connecting your body and taking care of your body and intuitional like God, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, just intuitional listening to your body. I know you do cold plunges. I know you do like red light therapy and sauna. What like tell us a little bit about those modalities and how they're applicable to you and what you've learned from them.
Sure. I have this list in my phone where I say, okay, what am I going to do today? And I once again intuitively feel, and it's hot tub, sauna, cold plunge, do some sort of a red light or infrared therapy. I have a trampoline where you jump and move lymph system, deep stretching. I have a thing called the chi machine that moves your chi energy, and the straight yoga and all this stuff. And what it's really helped me more than anything is, if you're stuck in your head, for instance, and can't get out, what do you got to do? You got to be in the body. You got
Yeah.
to feel, and it creates the happy hormones and the happy chemicals. For me, the hot cold transfer is phenomenal.
Yeah.
It is one of those, anybody can do it. Hot cold shower, even, and immersing yourself, because it helps you sometimes do hard things, right, in the cold.
Yeah.
And I also just like the free flow movement based, that if you're in your body is ridiculously smart. And it's like in a breathwork class, we say, set your intentions and just forget about it and breathe, because the body knows how to heal. The breath knows how to activate parts of you that need the healing. So I like to facilitate that on a daily, because self-help and just being healthy is huge. That's the biggest thing ever. If you feel good physically, then it's usually mentally and emotionally. So I do a lot of that, and really feeling into, like, once again, what does my body really need?
Yeah.
Intuitive eating has changed me a lot, of kind of going like, is this really what my body wants?
Yeah.
Because it becomes you, right?
Yeah.
So I do that, and I try to really focus on what makes sense to me right now. And sometimes I'll feel into it. I'll create scenarios and say, if I ingest this type of food, is it going to feel good to me? And I sit there and I think about it, and usually I get a response,
Yeah.
because the body's so intuitive.
Um, so when did you start? Okay, so I know that you kind of like you started doing breath work and stuff with friends when in your 20s, right?
Mhm.
Um, going in deeper in the early ages, did you what made you want to do these kinds of modalities?
Yeah.
What caused you to like have that mental switch of wanting to do something like this to change yourself and shape yourself?
Super great question, and it really relates to literally everyone that's looking for something more in their life,
Yeah.
and becoming more, once again, conscious of their life and their reality, and want to be the creator. Back in my 20s, I found out through meditation, for instance, that you could get to these deeper states of peace and awareness. And then a friend, it's a long story, but a friend introduced me to breathwork. I did a breathwork journey. Body was vibrating, feeling everything. This guy that was the guy that was teaching the class took me on this journey where I got done and I went, what just happened? And it was this way, I was so intensely in my body, so intensely in the present moment, and I was feeling things. I remember being a little tired, then I was elated, then I was happy, then I was sad. I was like, all this within 45 minutes. And that just helped me to really go, oh, there's so many beautiful ways to access your deep inner awareness. Went on that spiritual path, the different books and spiritual teachers talk about going within. And then I also read a lot of literature about you can create psychedelic experiences just from your breath,
Yes.
just from your mind. Stan Grof and holotropic breathwork's classic example of, that's a long story, but he figured out that for thousands of years, cultures have been using breath, meditation, dance, you name it, to access altered states of consciousness. And that's an inherent feeling in humans. We want to go to these higher states, bliss, love, higher truth, or feeling connected to the wholeness or oneness or all that is. So biohacking and figuring out what actually works for you to get there, super important in life. Otherwise, you can get stuck.
Yeah. So ways to clear your wherever you're at, clear the residence that's living in within, and start over, kind of refreshing.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I teach for the last 10 plus years of almost 700 classes now. It's to teach you to let go and to surrender and to kind of like get out what's not good for you and bring in the new. And it goes into the visualization, the connection to your body, the ability to feel safe, the ability to let go. Once again, everything's energy. So you create a lot of life force. Some things move, they change. And that's where I got really addicted to helping myself and others. And every day when I feel weird, I'll just lay down and do some breath work. I'll just lay down and visualize. And 9 times out of 10, it just gets me right back to a state that is better.
Yeah. Do you have any chants or mantras that you do when you're either meditating or doing breath work?
I do. I will usually start with I am, because I try to feel into I am the creator of my reality. I am, the energy or the expansiveness. I try to feel into that, into my heart, and then I'll feel what's needed in the moment. So if my body's hurting, I'll say I am a healthy body. I am a healthy mind. I say a lot of I choose. So I'll say I choose love. I choose kindness. I choose the ability to feel into something that's challenging. And so I'll go through these mantras that feel good in the moment, but they're usually I am, or I give myself permission. I'll say I give myself permission to just let go and be tired, or that saying it's okay to not be okay. Sometimes like it's okay to not be okay. I'm just gonna be with that and sit, but it's that invoking what really is important to you in that moment.
Putting the intention into it.
Everything's intention.
Yeah.
Everything.
Do you ever have any like I was laying in bed a couple days ago, and like I just had this mental block, and it was just like this feeling that my third eye, or my crown chakra, was just like blocked, and I just started humming. And
I did that last night too.
God, what let me think. There were 3 different parts. Mat ome mat ome. Hold on. I'll be right back. Pardon me. So I was laying in bed, and my third eye, or my crown chakra, was like, I could feel like just this block, like this ball was just sitting in the middle of my forehead. And I just started humming randomly. And it was Tha Omni Thamni Myoru. And I didn't know what I was saying, didn't know what it meant, but instantly it like exploded out, and it was gone. The mental block had just, it was like I intuitionally, knew what to do to release that, just by being present with myself and talking to myself and being like, okay, so why do you feel this way? Why do you have a mental block? What are you dealing with right now? And then what can you do to resolve this? And I just started humming. And I did this is a little woo woo, but I did my first spell, or like
Incantation.
Incantation, yeah. Like a week or so ago, and allowed myself to be able to understand a little bit more about that, and bring it more bring it more present in my mind that I'm capable of being able to breathe through things and meditate through things and understand things, and that things aren't just a set thing for everybody. Like there's different things for that people can do that may be different for them. So it's and now I say this whenever I've got a mental block, and it's ridiculous. I don't understand it, but it's.
You looked it up going to the meeting of it.
Oh, I did look it up. All right, hold on. So looked it up, and Tha Omni Muru is so Tha is transmission, anchoring the wisdom, sharing the vibration, stepping into your realignment path. So I kind of typed it out how I had said it.
Wow.
And this is what it came up with. So the Tha part is transmission. The Omni is unification, integration, and remembrance, bringing in all parts of the self into harmony. Let me go back to this. So, Tha, giving grounded spoken word, a poetic vibe, an ancient or ceremonial, divine feminine energy that, if you lean into it, sound alike, is an ancient Egyptian for feminine concepts. So that's Tha. Omni, Latin for all or everything, commonly tied to omniscience, omnipresence, divine infinite qualities, suggests unity, totality, oneness, or all encompassing. And then Muru, M-U-R-U, is to cleanse, purge, or remove. It's like a sacredness or taboo, ritual of reconciliation and healing. So in South Indian dialects, can loosely relate to protection and removal of obstacles.
So you said that intuitively.
Intuitively.
Didn't know what it meant.
Had no clue at all.
Yeah.
And then looked it up because it actually disconnected it and removed it. I didn't understand it. And it's like one of those things where like you don't know until you know.
Yes.
So like I was just like, I need to understand how this just worked. Because right now it's blowing my mind.
Yeah.
And I don't understand it. So when I looked it up and I'm just like, holy shit, like the human mind and has so much capacity to be able to intuitionally understand what to do. And
if
like,
you give it that space,
if you allow that space in and you give that space to the universe and allow it to come into you.
yes,
It's pretty amazing.
You go back to the mantras or intentions. You asked the question. You know, one of them that has been coming up the last couple of weeks is I allow something greater to come through.
Yeah.
And it's this feeling of there's always a greater love, a greater thought, a greater expression, a greater experience. And that you did it well because you allowed intuitionally, you gave the expression out without overthinking it or overanalyzing it. Maybe after the fact, now you're overanalyzing. That's okay. But the finite can never understand the infinite. And what I've really learned is this brain mind of ours, we might call the ego type thing, is amazing but limited. And if we live in our heads and we're trying to rationalize, for me, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's not fun, in my opinion, too. That goes back to the magic and mystery. You could drive yourself up a wall figuring out how the heck did that happen,
Yeah.
or just realize that there's magic and mystery everywhere,
Yeah.
and to enjoy the ride.
Yeah. Enjoying that ride is like something I've struggled with through my life because like I'm such a logical like thinker. Like it has to make logic for me to understand it.
Careful what you wish for.
Well, that's, and that's why it took me so long to be able to be more spiritual with myself, because I couldn't put words to it. I didn't understand it. I couldn't put, a physicality or a feeling to it because I never experienced it or put myself in that position to be able to experience it and accept it.
So what would you define spirituality as?
Something you can't explain that the allow at least for me, that allows me to be able to accept something and not understand it, but feel it in my heart, in my soul, in my
Hmm,
being, throughout my body and my mind. So expanding through the mind and body into an alternate space that I can't explain.
something greater than you.
Something greater, exactly.
Than you,
Yeah.
the finite mind, or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's fascinating. One of the things also that I've been working on in classes, and I have some new events coming up that really go deeper into this. One called "Be the Love,"
Mhm.
but it's this idea that we have the mind of the ego, which is all about separation, chaos, division, judgment, you name it. And then we have the mind of love. And the mind of love is all about peace, unity, higher perspective, deeper understanding. And at any given point, you can choose. Whether you think you can or you can't, you can choose the mind of peace, the mind of love. You can call it the Holy Spirit, mind of God, whatever. It's there always. And if you're stuck in that egoic mind for too long, you go crazy.
Yeah.
And even just that small, you're just like, I got to figure this out. Great. But what if you can't? Or what if then you got to give it to higher power. You got to
Yeah.
give it to love and just say, I'm just going to accept that this was magic, that life is not meant to be understood. And I choose the mind of love that says that everything's okay. And it's fascinating because it goes back to like, what's the point of life? The point of life is, to choose your reality, to be you,
Mhm.
and to have the right perspective that makes life maybe more interesting for you or more exciting. And this is the whole wellness reality that you and I are in. It's like, how do people get to these spaces to see their capacity for growth and expansion, for awakening, whether it's consciousness or just, once again, feeling better? There are paths. There's infinite paths and ways. And once you feel into that power, like with your example, then it's super addicting, and you just want to keep exploring, expressing. Being a consciousness exploration person,
Yeah.
it's never ending, and you become a seeker or a truther or somebody that wants to know, how does reality really work?
Yeah.
That's really exciting to me.
Yeah. And from my unique experience, like I struggled with like when I was younger and even into my 30s, before I broke my neck and back, I didn't have that connection with spirituality. And I think my first experience with something that I couldn't explain, or what I deemed spiritual, was like mind altering substances,
Yep.
whether they be ketamine or psilocybin or LSD, and that was my first connection to it. So I was like, well, maybe this is the only way that I can tap into my spiritual side. But it wasn't until I got introduced and got made sure that I didn't have any substances in myself and went to a breathwork class. That was the
Mhm.
first time I had felt a spiritual awakening,
Wow.
and in that same feeling that I did in mind altering substances.
Yeah.
So it was my first connection, to be able to experience something that another something else gave to me, but I had to put it in myself to get it. But instead of doing that, I was able to bring it out of myself, because I now understand that I'm capable of being able to do that.
Super powerful,
It's
right?
so empowering. And that is something that I want people to get from this, is that empowering, you're able to empower yourself. And if you're not able to, like, let's give you the skills to be able to open that up and have more confidence in yourself, because you and what you're capable of and what your brain is capable of is so expansive, and you don't know until you have the skills to be able to tap into that.
Yeah, to create a non-ordinary states, or go beyond the norm. And people go, well, why would I want to do that? So many reasons. So because you want the better, maybe better perspective of life. You want to feel the more love, the more expression of creation through you. That's one of the things that a substance can sometimes help you with, or you learn through meditation or breath work or whatever to do it yourself. It's to feel more life, for more life force, to feel more connection to you, which the body mind complex or spirit. It's like an access to greater states of awareness. And once again, when you get in it, you're hooked.
Yeah.
There's a saying in breathwork: get high off your own supply. Like, yeah, it's real, because the physiology changes in your body. You pump your lymph system, you start to detox, and all of a sudden your body vibrates. Your brain waves in breathwork, they change: alpha waves, theta waves, direct access to your subconscious mind. Different chemicals get reproduced. There's a lot of people think dimethyltryptamine, which is the spirit molecule, gets released out of the pineal gland.
DMT is
Yes.
a lot of the people know of. Yeah.
It will get released with deep conscious breath work and sometimes like deep meditations. But in breath work specifically, you can have full-blown out-of-body experiences, full-blown
Absolutely.
psychedelic experiences. Many people over the decade or so of doing breath work, they go into what I call the spirit world and beyond the veil, whether it's true to them. And it's very, very real. So we have to understand that we're playing in different states of consciousness. And if we feel trapped, there are ways out. Just like quantum physics says, string theory and M theory, like our brain is connected to 11 dimensions. Like we could prove that mathematically. So how cool would it be to break free of yourself, your matrix, your programming, your old conditioning, die to the illusions that hurt you, that separate you, and then you take back the power in your life and say, no, this is how it's going to be. That's exciting to me.
That is very exciting. And how would you feel about doing a breath work? I want to show people like how they can incorporate this at home and maybe do a breath work while they're at home.
Yeah,
Maybe
you want to do it
watching
now or
this.
later? You want to do it at the end?
I'd love to do it right now.
Okay.
Let's do it right now. Let's see where this goes. And I'd like
Let's do a minute or two.
Yeah.
I'll just show you how quickly it is to
Yeah.
change your state. Put your feet on the ground, straight back, straight neck, straight head. We'll just go maybe 2 minutes or so just to show you how powerful this is. There's many different ways of doing breathing techniques and mindfulness, but just close your eyes. And I want you to breathe. Let's do breathing in and out of the nose for a sec. Just take some conscious breaths in and out of the nose. And I want you to start taking the breath from the belly up to the chest and expanding on the inhale and just relaxing on the exhale. So when you take in a huge inhale in through the nose, expand the belly, fill it up like a water balloon, and just one continuous flow. Expand that breath up to the chest, and then just consciously let it go out the nose. Want to go out the mouth, that's fine too. And just take 5 really deep breaths like this while I'm talking. Just keep going, Rob. Deeply in the nose, expand. Exhale out the nose or mouth and just relax. And a lot of times we want to focus on breathing in life and expansion on the inhalation, really focus on the inhalation. Exhalation, you just let go. It gives you a chance to surrender and to just really drop into the present moment, to the here and now. If the mind wanders, just always go back to this breath. Just do about 3 more on your own. And you'll see that in these deep breaths gets you more grounded, balanced, stable, in the here and now, less thoughts of the past or worries of the future, and you drop into the present moment. 1 more deep breath in and out, and then pause for a moment and do normal breath. So that took 45 seconds, a minute or so. I don't know how long, not long. Can you feel the change just in that little bit of moment?
I feel my hands tingling. Feel my cranium tingling, and almost a rush of blood circulating more fluidly. My feet are tingling as well.
Perfect.
It feels like a ray of energy has gone through my brain down through my hands and my feet.
Perfect. That's life force. That's oxygen, prana, chi. Your body's becoming more alkaline, and you're moving energy through your body. And also, it's not just physical; it's emotional, causal body, all that stuff. That's super simple, and then you amplify it and can go much, much deeper. So in classes, we find flow states because we create challenging spaces to move our life force energy. And then once again, the body knows how to heal and let go. It'll move the life force to create the somatic and physiological effects that you need to release and let go. So a lot of people come with tight shoulder, then after like, whoa, my shoulder or whatever.
Can you break down somatic?
Somatic is of the body. So this idea that your soma, your body, is unbelievable. It's incredibly knowledgeable, but 96% of us is subconscious, which means it's unconditioned. It's conditioned programming that we're not aware of. And when you can go deep into your physiology, breathwork, mindset, feeling safe, feeling supported, feeling loved, that my classes and many others do, then you have the ability to feel and let go, and the body keeps the score. So we have what's a lot of ways where we hold trauma. Lots. Everyone has trauma, and everyone holds on to that in different ways. There's even in the thing called epigenetics, where we've taken on the trauma of our relatives in the DNA and whatnot. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But the somatic gives the body the ability to express, so the energy can move. And that's usually when people need to laugh or cry or shake and let it go. So if you see a real breathwork journey where people are really feeling emotions, it's like, are they possessed? Like,
Yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah.
But it's the most cathartic, incredible release, because the body has its own sentient being. And I always think of that animals, they'll fight in the woods or whatever. They'll go and move away, and then they'll shake it off. They'll shake off the energy, and they instinctually just let it go, like ducks fight and they go back, and humans don't do that. So we have to create these spaces to allow the body to feel. So think of like trauma, where you're all of a sudden tremoring or whatever, it's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
That's the body's learned response system. We give it a sacred space to feel into what needs to be felt in order to heal.
So, coming up on May 3rd, at the Arizona Center, you're going to be doing a breathwork class. Can you tell us a little bit about what that's going to encompass, what it's going to be like, what people can expect from something like that?
Sure. This class is we're going to do a breath of life activation that takes you into the mind, body, spirit in a very profound way. So we just barely breathe.
Yeah.
When we go into a journey, it is we create a circular rhythm which amplifies flow states. The body comes alive and magic happens. So your body will start to vibrate and feel, and I take you on a journey. Everyone's different and every experience is different, but you're going to go into altered states of consciousness. You'll probably laugh or cry or
all of the above.
The love. A lot of people feel deep connection to their spirit, or maybe even sometimes like religious figures and whatnot. It goes into these, what Stan Grof, the creative holotropic breathwork, talks about is non-personal or transpersonal states beyond the ordinary. So you go beyond the five senses. I play about 10 to 15 different instruments, drums and bowls and gongs, along with a symphony of music, and you're on a journey.
Yeah.
With no pill, with no ayahuasca or whatever, and you can go to those spaces, or you at least teach yourself to relax, and eventually it gets there.
Yeah.
Very exciting. And my whole passion in life, among many things, but this is one of them, is I want to help people and myself and others awaken to their infinite self, awaken to their potential. I have never found in my 40 years of life something so profound that can do that so quickly.
Yeah.
And if you're ready for it, it's amazing. If you can block it, but you'll still get something out of
it. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for breaking that down. And I can be a testament to breath work, because the first one that I did, I went through so many emotions. I cried. I yelled. My body trembled and kind of, and when I say seized up, your hands can sometimes go in, but it's not a scary thing. It's an embrace.
As long as the instructor tells you it may happen.
Right. Yeah.
What is going on? Oh my God.
But once you feel that, and once you let yourself be able to get into that space, you get to experience something that is so magical and so profound. So I'm really excited for your breathwork class. I've never been able and had the opportunity to sit through one of yours, so I'm super excited.
Yeah. and we can go down layers of this, but we're talking about how do we help people? How do they get something out of this podcast and, do things in their daily life and maybe, join us in some classes and events. But one thing that comes out too a lot in breathwork is one is you might get triggered. So you might have to go into pains and things that aren't that enjoyable. But in a journey, when you feel so safe, so loved, so supported, it's like ecstasy almost,
Yeah.
where you're crying because of a trauma that you remembered, but it feels amazing.
Yeah.
Like it feels amazing to let go. Also, a lot of people get deep intuitive hits, because you are direct access to your subconscious and superconscious state when you go into these different brainwaves and states of mind. As long as you calm the ego, as long as you get into that space of allowance, you'll get these, oh my God, epiphany moments that help you with life.
Yeah.
And help you get out of maybe some stuck ruts or stuck patterns. It's unbelievably powerful.
Yeah, one of the biggest tools that I've learned over the years is creating a space where people can be vulnerable and be able to experience something like that and something so magical and beautiful. Because just doing it, sometimes at your home or with other people, you don't have the same cathartic experience that you may be able to have in somewhere where you feel more safe and vulnerable.
Always.
Yeah.
Almost always. Yes. Creating a sacred space is huge in community. I keep reading lately on the internet that the key indicator to a healthy life is healthy relationships. And then when you can be vulnerable in these relationships, even better. So creating that space is just awesome.
That is something that is even more in depth, is bringing that vulnerability and that healing into a relationship, and expanding with a partner and doing it as with a partner, and creating that connection and that transparency between the two of you. Like, can you kind of go into that? Is that something that you apply to your personal and love life?
Oh, for sure. And, you could just say a relational life, because it's love life and relations with friends and
Yep.
coworkers. And it's all themes. It's all, can you be authentic with this person?
Mhm.
Can they actually see you? Can they witness you? Can you be vulnerable and express your truth of what's real? A lot of people can't. And it's usually because they don't trust themselves, or they haven't been through the initiations that help them see
Yeah.
the mirrored approach. And so when you work on yourself, then your relationships are expanded, and then you can connect freely from the heart without judgment.
Yeah.
Then you can see your partner for who they are, because usually if you're seeing a lot of judgment, it's something that maybe you don't like in yourself, but you've done the work through mindfulness and breathwork and meditation and, you name it, to see that it's all an illusion.
Yeah.
So it can expand every part of relations, and it makes you become more the conscious creator more. A lot of this, we can go into so many rabbit holes, but we're talking about the physical benefits, maybe some of the emotional benefits, the psycho-spiritual benefits of this type of a conversation. One of the even deeper things is it helps you understand what reality is and how you can structure it for yourself. So if you take this of going into a romantic relationship, for instance, you go through these experiences, you feel what real love is, or you feel what it feels like to actually be open emotionally and be safe, like men to be safe as a pillar, and hold the divine feminine. Then they can feel it from you. There's divine resonance. Everything's energy. We feed off our body systems, unconsciously and energetically. And then it just becomes this dance of how do I flow and how do I create this reality inside of me that expresses out. You become the conscious creator because you're seeing through the illusions. Most people don't even know that they have, a lot of illusions. That can be fears, guilt, lacks, societal beliefs, addictions, old programmings, stuff from parents, you name it, it's all going on.
Yeah.
And then it shows up in relationships. It has to, because it's your programming.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if we can go delete, activate this program, which is like the subconscious mind, and then the conscious mind gets the upload or the download and says, "Oh, that's how reality works." we become the projection. We see everything as a projection of our inner reality, and then we can play in those relationships more consciously, because then you wouldn't hurt people on purpose. For instance, you would know what to do because you know who you are.
Yeah. Do any of these modalities? One thing that's very close to my heart is I had a lot of trauma growing up. So kind of a lot of PTSD. But like for other people that have gone through PTSD, like veterans, people that, of sexual abuse, traumas like that, is this a tool that they can use to help out with that?
For sure.
Yeah.
And anything of working with your mind and body connection helps, because it facilitates the feeling of you're in control, you're feeling safe, you're supported. Even like Tai Chi or Qigong or anything where you're moving energy in your body and you're creating trust with it can help. And there's so many different ways that trauma shows up. A lot of times, people that what I've found in my life and what I've seen is it's not that quote unquote complicated. The trauma can be complicated, but it's not that complicated to help people to get into those experiences, to release and feel. They just need to have the opportunity and permission to let go,
Yeah.
to relax, be like, it's safe, it's okay. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm feeling into things. And
Yeah.
certain PTSDs and whatnot and traumas you need a lot more, maybe, different modalities or whatever, but
Yeah.
it's all kind of same, but different. And I saw a thing online that was really fascinating. It said, it was if you ever wanted to do a psychedelic, before you ever do, you need to do this. And it was this list, and it said, you have to learn how to meditate because you got to figure out your mind.
Yeah.
Number 2 is you have to learn to breathe. You have to, because when you're in situations in life or in let's say a psychedelic experience, if you choose to do that, you have to know how to regulate yourself.
Yeah.
You have to. Then you can do ice baths, you can do float tanks, you can do different movement modalities to get synced up with the rhythms of the body. So then you feel capable of managing or overcoming the complex PTSD or the trauma that's unfolding. And once again, we might not consciously ever understand why or what really went on or what's happening. In my opinion, that's not as important as getting into the feelings and the somatics of it so that the body can do its own process and let it go. We're just giving that space to allow it to do it on its own.
Yep. So many of like my personal friends and other people that have come across my path and journey that I've had conversations with, like that are veterans, like what I seem to see a lot a lot of is they keep their mind and their body so busy that the trauma never comes up. They never get a chance to deal with those emotions and bring it up. So I think giving them that opportunity to be able to breathe and really connect with themselves can be a huge thing. And I'm really looking forward to potentially doing something for something special for veterans or people with PTSD to kind of help with that,
Beautiful.
because I think that would help out a lot. Is that something you've ever dealt with or done a class specifically for?
Not specifically for, but had lots of people in the past show up with those types of challenges.
Yeah. So we kind of dove in on the men's health and the men's work that you do. Is that do you lead these classes? Are you a part of them? Kind of walk us through that.
More than the last year or two, been co-creators with some amazing people that create conscious men's groups. So more co-facilitation as opposed to leading. But I very much enjoy that, of learning what it means to be a man and all that. It's not it hasn't been too long, but of me being in that space. But it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's wonderful being around other men that think the way you do.
Yeah. What's the name of the organization?
that I am a part of.
Yeah.
I not a name of organization. It's just people.
So
So
you're just a group of men that come together.
I have some friends in California that I do retreats with, a friend from Atlanta that I do a retreat with, and a friend from Florida that I do retreats. It's just men's groups. Like
Okay.
we've gone to Zion and we've gone to like cool places and we bond.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. Uh, I'm looking forward to being able to provide something for men, because I know a lot of men struggle with like the embrace
Mm.
of, like we had a guest on previously that uh, is in the construction field, and like he he didn't feel comfortable, being able to embrace another man,
Hmm.
because of that situational kind of thing. And it's beautiful to give other men that opportunity to be able to be vulnerable and be like, hey, it's okay to want to hug or to share an embrace with somebody.
Sure.
Like it shouldn't be taboo for a
Hmm.
man to hug another man. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think that's beautiful.
Well said.
Yeah. um how does one lead 700 over 700
Mm.
breath work classes? Like, what does that feel like? Uh, it must feel so amazing to be tapped in to and being able to share that and help so many individuals. Like, yeah, walk us through that emotion and that feeling from the other side of the spectrum.
That's a extremely good question. Thanks, Rob, for that. Yeah, because one of the biggest life hacks, if not the biggest life hack, is to be of service. And I thankfully found one of the avenues that really lights me up. And there has been trial and error, but it's consistent over especially the last 10 years of just 5 to 8 classes a month, give or take, and showing up. And the people that are meant to be there are meant to be there. But it's an amazing process, because this is what happens in a breathwork journey. One is you never know what's going to happen for sure, and you don't expect. But during the process, you can see the people's transformation. You can see them physiologically, emotionally. And I get so giddy because I'm like, yes, you went there. You felt that. You got the download. You touched the veil of reality and went into a different state of consciousness that you might not have known is there.
Yeah.
And Rob, I have hundreds of stories. We're talking hundreds where people say, oh, like I wanted to quit breathing after 10 minutes. It's challenging. 2 minutes later, boom, they're into this reality in their mind that they all of a sudden are, talking to something, or they're feeling some emotion they never felt before, or they get clarity on an old trauma, or they're in what I call God mode, where they're just sitting there going, oh wow, because your whole
Yeah.
body's in a rush, the chemicals, you're beyond the conscious waking state, you feel beyond the body, you feel beyond the normal mind. It's super liberating and super freeing. So I like that. I like
Yeah.
to get to experience that. And some people struggle, some
Yeah.
people it's not for them, but at the same time it helps you to at least shake things up
Try
to
to tap into
to
it.
get there. And eventually, whether it's breathwork or whatever, you'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know I got there after my first one, that's for sure. It only took one to be able to really allow and just succumb to what my body's naturally going to do with breathing.
I love that.
Yeah. Um let's see. You you at least from what I've come to understand, like you incorporate a natural diet.
Mm.
I and I kind of want to scope and dive back into like the natural things that people can do on a daily basis to kind of help with their daily health and overall.
I
Like,
like that. Okay.
how do you incorporate your diet into what you do? What other things do you do that really open up who you are and guide you through the day?
I like that question a lot too. So there's the mind perspective of it, the body perspective of it, the emotional perspective of it, and the spiritual perspective of it. That's how I kind of think of it. It's all one, but you kind of, I create check-ins, and that's really helped me a lot. Of, oh, where's your breath at? Awful. It's like, ugh. Okay, it takes 20 deep breaths and just get in a better state. That's just pure body. Or the awareness of, might sound silly, but where am I? Like, oh, I'm right here. Oh, I'm Colter. I'm in the body. I'm in my car, whatever. Because the mind can be so past or future oriented, and we're thinking about the chaos of the past or the anxiety of the future. Check-ins have helped me a lot, and little reminders. I have a ton of stuff on my phone of just checking in. I'll say some mantras or some quotes that really guide me in. And then the nutritional aspect. This is fascinating because when you don't know yourself and your body's going to fight you. And I honestly, in my opinion, I had to learn the hard way. In 2018, I got really sick, couldn't figure out why. Long story short, I found out I had all these like gluten intolerances and cheese intolerance and 22 different allergies. And my body was just blah,
Yeah.
because I was giving it the wrong food. And I also had pernicious anemia, which I didn't know about. But once you figured it out, it was information. So I do go to naturopath a lot now just to make sure that blood levels and whatnot are big.
Yeah.
But the actual eating is huge. I slow down and I chew and I think about how this affects me, and especially based on what I had eaten maybe 3, 4, 5 hours prior.
Mhm.
How's this going to make me feel later? And you make a symbiotic relationship with it, because once again, the food becomes you.
Yeah.
And eating is like you're the creator, especially when you cook it yourself.
Mhm.
You create the enzymes, the frequencies that you eat, or you eat, and all that stuff. It becomes you, so you're expressing yourself through that experience, and it can become much more fruitful. You can literally say that I'm going to eat this chocolate bar and I'm going to love the hell out of it, and the body just says yes. Or you could say, this chocolate bar doesn't make me, I shouldn't be doing this or whatever. It's sinful to be eating so much chocolate, whatever. And the body goes, oh, okay. And then you feel like crap. So really understanding what's actually going on inside of you, and also knowing if you're allergic or whatever,
Yeah.
it's super, super important. I'll chug water and I'll just say in my mind, I am love, I am love, I am love.
Yeah.
I do that a lot. So the day-to-day stuff, it varies, but you can do so much to check in with your mind, your body, your emotions, and your spirit.
Have you ever used frequencies to charge anything like water jugs or water itself or foods or anything like that?
For sure. I actually have a Therawan that restructures the water for me, and I do that a lot. I don't necessarily do it any other way, but yeah, everything is a charged energy. The Emoto experience of the water, which pretty much everyone knows about, where the water creates the crystalline structure based on the energy that it was given. It's all real. And just sometimes I'll just, like I said, think of beautiful thoughts, or be in a good state, and I'll say, a body, like, you want water, I'm gonna give you water. I did that 2 days ago,
Yeah.
because the Don Miguel Ruiz, the guy that wrote The Alchemist, he always says that the body is the love of your life. And if you treat it like that, then it's just like a more personal relationship. So I do that a lot. Frequencies, your question was frequency of, yeah, uplifting the body and trying to high vibe foods and all that. But you don't want to get too strict on a diet or a space that you think you need when in fact you don't. That's where it's a little tricky.
Intuitional nutrition.
Figure out what works for you, and then
Yep.
know the science behind it.
Yep.
That's what I would say.
I know for myself, I've had to do 2 times in my life where I had to completely reset my entire system. Once when I was 26, when I had diverticulitis, went vegan for 3 years. Had to deal with all that. Never had the issue again until recently. I got Giardia, of all things. A friend of mine, his mom is a doctor at a hospital. His father is a nurse at the same hospital. They had a Giardia outbreak,
Dang.
and they gave it to their son. And his son, we came over and shared some glasses, and then I got Giardia.
Fun
Um,
story.
but yeah, very fun. But it rocked my system. I had to take 2 rounds of antibiotics that were like not your just regular run of the mill antibiotic. These are like full reset system. Like it
Hmm.
gets sort of all the good, all the bad, just depletes you. But I had to go through 2 rounds of it, and it got to the point where my body wouldn't digest food.
Mm.
Like it wasn't, nothing that I was doing was able to go through my body,
Hmm.
because I was trying to eat the same foods, healthy foods, but foods that I normally eat.
And you didn't have the
Um,
gut
I
bacteria.
didn't have the biome. I didn't have the gut bacteria for it. It almost got to the point where I was ready to shove a capsule of somebody else's shit up my ass.
Yeah.
So like it
What a
was,
great learning lesson.
yeah, yeah, but thank goodness I went to a gastroenterologist that put me on a low FODMAP diet.
Yep.
Went through that. I did not think that this diet would help out, but oh my God, I went through
Yeah.
3 months of it, and it completely changed my whole biome and got me back structured with a healthy biome. 3 months, that was a little part of it, but it was more like 6 months that I
Yeah.
really incorporated it into my life to be able to make that change to where my body started digesting food properly.
Hmm.
I do now have gluten and dairy
Hmm.
intolerances that are a little bit more like I've always tried to cut out dairy. Gluten is a new one for me, but I'm really understanding how how hard it is for the body to digest these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what, well said. And one thing I would add in just a general stance that helped me that maybe could help everyone else is to seriously get curious about everything
Yeah.
and go, oh, a lot of people have gluten sensitivities.
Wonder
Why?
why.
How come? What does that mean? How does that show up? Could it be me? Not to the point of freaking yourself out, but it goes even back to if your gut biome's off, what do you do? Well, if you have no information, you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
You go research, oh, sauerkraut's the most amazing thing ever, and certain probiotic strains to create your lactobacillus, and all of a sudden that's the connection to I'm just making this up, but like serotonin and like all this, like, I can't remember exactly, but it empowers you to know that what you put into this vesicle, this vehicle, you can give it what's necessary.
Yeah.
You, along with me and others, had to go through these processes of elimination,
Yeah.
and the universe whacks us and says, okay, you're gonna have to learn for better, for worse,
Yeah.
different ways of healing or whatever it is. It's there for learning and growth if you choose.
Yeah.
If you want to be a victim, you that or whatever, yep, that works too. But it's humbling process, right? Because
It
humans are
really
so
is.
fallible in the sense we're sensitive. We have to have the right biome, the right living conditions, all that, and that's the whole point of creating these conscious communities and connection, is to help each other along the way and share information and knowledge that can benefit.
That's the most amazing thing about communities is being able to share those things and get feedback and be able to help others from that feedback through your own experience. Um, so thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Um, I would encourage a lot of people to take a chance to know themselves and their bodies, and make a connection through food, and maybe reset their bodies and go through something like that and see how your body reacts to it. And but also it's important to see your physician and get blood tested to see where your nutrient levels are. I personally do it every 3 months.
Nice.
Just to, because I am a male that's over 40. I do now, well, my natural testosterone levels are at like 125 or something like that. So like my body just isn't producing
Yeah.
testosterone like it used to. So like I have to figure out those things. But knowing what your blood levels are at and like what you need to increase or you have a higher levels
Mhm.
of is important.
Very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, know who you are, know the numbers.
Yeah.
Another thing that came to mind as you were talking too is we were talking about health, wellness, self-improvement, how to have a better life, how to become the best version of yourself. There's a lot of traps there that can happen. And self-improvement to just improve can get really ugly if you're not careful. I experienced that in my late teens where, you beat yourself up for not being perfect or whatever the hell, it can happen. But the point I'm bringing up is uh, this this doesn't work unless you create humor and laughing and not taking yourself so seriously and understanding that maybe this is all a beautiful game of learning and growth or whatever you choose, and it's very real, but there has to be humor and this deep the energy of it's all okay, or you have the ability to let go and to really feel into the humor of life. Like that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
So whether it's watching random reels that make you go laughing or talking with friends, like what I've learned on my, I'll call it spiritual journey, is to a lot of times not be so serious and give yourself a break and stop trying to find the next thing that will quote unquote help. And then it's just sometimes it's better to just smile, listen to beautiful music and laugh and be with cool friends or whatever. Life doesn't have to be this gigantic mountain to climb to make yourself into the better version of you, and it's a super struggle. You can choose that if you want, but it's a lot simpler. I think a lot of life is there's a very complex answer to everything and a very simple answer to everything, and humans complicate, me included. So sometimes it's like, if you forget everything Rob and I said today, it's like, okay, just laugh, enjoy yourself, enjoy the cosmic game of life, and the fact that you are a human on a planet that's spinning in a universe and you're like, holy crap, I'm alive. And then maybe just enjoy that.
Yeah.
That keeps life more interesting, more exciting, and it helps you to not take it so seriously in ways that can harm you.
Yeah. I absolutely agree. So one thing that for me like has opened my eyes up to so many different modes or modalities of healing is like my past trauma. Um I've been through so many different situations, um, but the first time that I was able to deal with the trauma was when I went and saw a therapist. That was the start of the journey of me. When I was able to go back and systematically look at each moment in time or experience that I had, and either take acknowledgement or accountability for the action, or be able to release it and let it be what it was. Um, and once I was able to do that, I had a much deeper like understanding of who I was and why I am who I am
Mhm.
and how I can help other people. Have you in your past had to deal with any traumas or anything that brought you down the same journey?
Yes. uh, my life is amazing growing up. Great family, friends, everything. But my trauma was honest and self-inflicted. It was a lot of it was probably sports related of being really good, really young, and then having expectations, and then creating uh, the mindset that was unhealthy of perfectionism or have to do something the right way. And I still am, but back then I was very sensitive and very emotional, but in ways that weren't expressed that much. It was more internal. And so, just like you, I had to go on a quest to learn what the heck's going on. Like, and we can all relate because we all have the stories. Sometimes trauma creates the story because
Yeah.
we have to go into that experience. And you touched on one point of the psychology of it, of counseling and talking and creating a better relationship with yourself. Huge,
Yeah.
right? Like huge. And then there's other modalities of the like we said, the physiological, the somatic side, the spiritual side of giving it to a higher power, lots of different ways to heal. So I had to kind of go through all of it, and it's a work in progress and never ends, truly. I
Yeah.
just turned 40 3 days ago, and I can look back and go, I did really well on a lot of these things. Like, holy cow. And then I was like, oh, there's still work to be done.
Yeah.
And as Tony Robbins always says, I think, or his partner, or Jim, or the guy that used to coach him, Jim Rohn, he'd say the only people that don't have problems are dead people. And when you get more successful, you just have different problems. So the key to life is just have better problems. So to think that you're broken or wrong or whatever, that's a losing battle.
Yeah.
And so we've all had to go through there. I could share more some deeper stories behind it. But it's always a process to learn who you are, what's going on under the curtains.
I'd love to hear some deeper stories. Maybe it would give a lot of people a perspective on something they may be dealing with, or and may be able to help with.
Sure. Well, one thing that comes to mind that's, in my opinion, a very profound story was I used to play sports all the time. That was my identity. That was everything. And it came to a point crashing down because I actually stopped being able to breathe on the basketball court. I don't know fully exactly why or whatever, but I had created so much anxiety in college that I'd get on the court, I'd hyperventilate within 2 minutes, I'd start sweating, couldn't see right. I was seeing two different baskets. It was like, oh wow. And it was because of all this built up pressure and expectation that mostly I put all on myself. And that became a really big issue. And then fast forward to years down the road, my body breaking down, or I'd go to the gym and I would all of a sudden, like, my body would cringe thinking about like working out. And I'm like, oh, I've started to realize I'm hurting myself by doing these things that I thought were helping me.
Yeah.
So I had to create a mind body connection.
Yeah.
That really worked for me. For a lot of reasons, I usually think body first. So if the body's healthy, then I can have a healthy mind and all
Right.
that. So I had a lot of these different experiences in my teenage years of beating myself up mentally, and then my physical body wanting to like act on it or take it out, anger, frustration, or whatever. When I figured out that those are connected and there's different ways to just like let go, my whole body and mind just wanted the ability to just feel okay,
Yeah.
to feel safe, and I didn't know how to do that back then.
Yeah. Is that when you started incorporating breath work?
Yes, breathwork and yoga, huge, huge, huge. I
How
like to say, I have a super silly saying that I just say 70% of life's problems can be solved by yoga. Because it's true. It's like whenever I do yoga, I just feel different. But yeah, it's exactly that.
Yeah. How does yoga, how did you get into yoga? Did it affect your physiology and your psychology? Have you ever had yoga create that space for you?
All the time.
Yeah.
And yoga is a science. It's a 2,000 plus year old philosophy or whatever of how the inner workings of the mind, body, physiologic, everything can be optimized. So I love the fact that you could do the physical asana practice, get in your body, balance, harmonize, move all the good chemicals, and the endocrine system moves and the lymph system and all that. Then you learn your pranayama, your breath work, which is the preparation for meditation. And meditation is so important because then you can learn to calm your mind and to be still and to find these peaceful spaces that are available to you. Most people don't know that,
Right.
or they can't access that. Yoga is a specific philosophy that helps you get to those spaces. There's different Raja paths and Jhana paths and different ways, even in the yoga community, to getting into those spaces. But what are you really doing is that you're accessing those greater states. And I had to do that out of necessity.
Yeah.
Because my body was breaking down. I was feeling just weird all the time. I don't know how to explain it. And it gave me this release, this, oh my God, turn this way. Oh, wow. The back releases and all of a sudden everything feels better. It's huge, to the point where even pretty much every other night I'll do that and I'll just sit up there and go, oh, wow, intuitively stretching and moving, because that body can let go of these things that we're holding on to.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Because as you said, the body keeps score. It really does. Those If you don't release those traumas and those, whether it's through breath work, whether it's through movement, whether it's through what you are putting in your body or taking out of your body, if you don't release those toxins and those emotional experiences, they get locked up in you. And uh, is it safe to say if you had breath work and yoga in your life when you were in college, do you think it would have been you could have excelled more?
Yeah, I actually think about that a lot.
Yeah.
I try not to have regret, but I go, if I was a 15-year-old Colter again, what would I say? I would say master your mind.
Yeah.
I would realize that you have the ability to choose. That would probably be the biggest thing, because you die in your head. Second is you can control your physiology. You have the ability to shift and change.
Mhm.
And that, once again, doesn't have to be magical. It's go to the gym and work your ass off, and then you feel better. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
like that's just to realize that you can do that. So when you're really stuck, there are ways out. I would talk to my 20-year-old self about just this idea of letting go and being okay with what is. And you don't need to know the future. You don't need to know how everything works. All you can do is control this right now.
The presence.
So you can, going back to what we said a little while ago, of creating your reality and kind of saying, this is important to me, this is my focus, this isn't, this is off limits. I would be more stern with myself too, but in a loving way.
Yeah.
And kind of be like, this is off limits to go here in the mind, because it hurts you.
Yeah.
Don't go there. And be really, I would maybe call it more of that, for me, the masculine, the strong energy, even though the feminine's strong too. It's like, just to be in that space. This is, no, I'm not going to go there right now. I'm not going to hurt myself.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Speaking of the mind, is there anything that you like, as far as my diet goes, like I try to eat like walnuts and brain foods, some avocados. Is there anything that you do as a daily regimen that helps out with your brain, your mental, your focus?
Yes, but it varies.
Yeah.
So what I've found out for me, and this could be for others, I cannot do strict in terms, especially in types of food. I'm not a every day all the same.
Yep.
Some people love that. It is literally making sure that I have what I need if I need it. So
Yep.
meaning, like, it's there and available, and then I'll sit. Even this morning, I sat and I go, should I have eggs? And I really felt into it. It's like, no. Should I make a berry parfait? Yes. Follow along in your passion. So what I do is I try to do that, and I'll kind of go, what is my body going to need later on?
Yeah.
And even before this podcast, I said, I'm going to need fuel and I need to feel good about myself.
Yeah.
So I'm going to eat something that I really, really enjoy. So I went to Kava, which
Yeah.
is this amazing place. And what I've learned is to prepare myself for later, to have the energy and awareness. And it's not specific though.
Yeah.
It's just having the availability. Oh, my stomach hurts. Well, I like
What can I do?
pumpkin seeds, like whatever, and I know that it works. That's what I like.
So everything added up seems like you're very intuitional with everything, mind, body, spirit, all of the things encompassed.
And if I'm not, I pay for it.
Yeah. So it's amazing when you pay attention to what you're doing with every breath, with everything you put in your body, with every movement, what it does for your psyche and what it does for your body.
Yes, and it goes back to why. Why would you want to do that? What it's that empowerment that you get the high from. Never perfect, always expresses in different ways. Like we talked about in the very beginning, you have seasons to life, and sometimes it's not eating too much thick, deep grounding foods. Other times it is, and body craving meat or whatever. It's this just evolutionary process that you can be in a symbiotic relationship with, or you can be separated from, because your mind doesn't understand and connect to what's really going on. That's the suffering right there.
Yeah. So so I asked you to bring a couple of
Mhm.
things with you today that had special meaning or that represented something throughout your journey or your life. Would you have in store for us?
Yes, I grabbed a couple small things, and I have some bigger things at home I just couldn't take because they're just huge. Um, so before I get into these, because I carry these in my car, um, I have in my room, I have specific signs,
Mhm.
and one of them is "Live like you're gonna die because you are,"
Yeah,
and it's like the impermanence of life. I have a Native American painting that just means so much significance to me. I actually, it's not might sound crazy, but I act like he talks to me and like he's a father figure, and so it kind of helps me to be like, oh, I have, somebody looking out for me, even though it's a little different.
beautiful.
And then I have sacred geometry, things like that, that kind of light my mind up into the intricacies of life. And then I have reminders. So like I told you before, I'll try to constantly always think about I am statements, or trying to get back into a different presence or a different state of mind. So with these ones, these are just rocks. One of them was, I don't even know where I got this, says peace, and the other one says breathe. Super simple, like super, super simple, but ultra profound because they're anchors and they go, oh, breathe, duh. What does breathing mean? Well, to me, it means a lot more than just inhaling oxygen, exhale carbon dioxide. It's life. And you're breathing to be in spirit. That's kind of what breathwork is to
Yeah,
be in spirit. And then from there, the physiology changes and all that. And peace is just another reminder of, I've made a quote for myself that is something I live by as best I can. I say, stay peaceful and help people. That's one of the things, the mantras that I created for myself, because there's so much that just, it doesn't matter. And to go back into the peaceful state is more important than getting all depressed or angry or what's on the news or things aren't going right. Side note, I had a couple, near death experiences in my life that we don't need to go into detail, but they made me realize that what's important: love, peace, connection, and all that. These are
well,
anchors.
Well, I mean, touching on that, like that was one thing that changed the course of my life significantly was coming to a near-death experience.
Ah,
Getting electrocuted off of a 14-foot ladder and breaking my neck and back, and being told by a doctor that you're lucky to be alive and you're lucky that you're able to walk. You could be a paraplegic or a quadriplegic. And we also need to do emergency surgery on you now.
mm,
So coming to that realization, like it freed me so much from the confines that I had created where money was everything, having a partner and making a family. It was like I need to live. I need to see more. I need to be more present. I need to experience more life,
mm.
and enjoy what life has to give and to offer.
Because there's so much more.
Because there's so much more than what we as a society build and put in front of us to see. Like there's so much behind that veil. And like I really encourage people to journey more into life. So if you want to go deeper on your experiences, like feel free. It'd give maybe people perspective on things.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, in a general sense, because we all have it. You have stories. We all have stories.
Yeah,
Some are closer than others in terms of the near death form, but we
yeah,
all have those aha, come to Jesus moments where we have the ability to change our perspective, or we're forced to absolutely change our perspective.
yeah,
And then what do you do from there is up to you. It says what really matters in life, and you got to figure it out. It's like, what's the one biggest thing in philosophy that, in my opinion, is the most important quote ever? Is the Socrates "Know thyself." You need to know what makes you tick and what makes you work. So these experiences where everything falls apart, or you have a brush with death, or you have an out-of-body experience that makes you rethink all of your reality, which
Yeah.
had a couple of those.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, reality is not what I was told. And that can actually super depress you,
Yeah.
and if you're not careful, or it can liberate and enlighten you. So what I would recommend is when you have these stories and experiences, they can define you if you choose, if you give the right meaning, and then you express based on what you've learned and kind of just be like, does this matter? Does this not? Well, I could be dead, so this
Yeah.
is at least, showing up and trying to love my life is better than whatnot. And there's also a quote. I do a class called "Die Before You Die."
Yeah.
It's Eckhart Tolle thing. It's to understand that you can die to little deaths every day, and it's all an illusion to a
Yeah.
point. Gotta be careful with saying that, because you want to make sure that there's truth to this reality and all that stuff, but there are illusions that can hurt you that you can die to.
Yeah.
And that's really important for my perspective, is maybe like the Lord's Prayer or something like that says I can control this versus what I can't, and you find the peace of mind. I was joking with a friend not too long ago, a couple weeks ago, where I don't even know who it was online. It was this older guy, and he was talking about spiritual philosophy, and he goes, in my age, my spiritual philosophy is, if I'm talking with you and you say 2 plus 2 equals 5, I say you are right. And he's like, because it's just, I care about peace. I care about love. I care about keeping my center. I'm not interested in arguing, because maybe that's his life perspective has changed. And I just thought that was so beautiful, because we get the opportunity to choose that reality.
Yeah. If you had a few words to say to everybody that to kind of either be mindful or bring them into a moment of clarity, that if they may be stuck, um, maybe some words of harmony or love or compassion or anything like that.
Okay. Could go different ways on this, but what comes to my mind a lot is, never forget that you have the ability to choose, that you have the ability to choose a greater perspective, a deeper understanding. You have the ability to give a different perspective, maybe a greater power, or just understand that the impermanence of life and everything changes, and to know that this too shall pass. One of the famous spiritual teachers that I really enjoyed in my life is Wayne Dyer. He created the year of the Tao, where he tried to live the life of the Tao, Taoism, and whatnot. And he said, if I could summarize all I've learned in the whole year of doing the Tao, and he wrote a book on it, is this too shall pass. So when you're going into these spaces and saying, oh, it's always going to be this way, or I'm messed up, I'm never going to learn from it and never going to get out of it, uh, really understand that that's not true. And even if outside perspective can't be quote unquote changed, there's always the ability to change some sort of internal reality. Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, one of the greatest books ever, small but profound, where, if you don't know, he interviewed people that were in Auschwitz and in the concentration camps, and he found out the people that kept the hope alive versus the ones that didn't, they created greater meaning.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say, is you could always create a greater meaning. You could always say life happens for you, not to you.
Yeah.
Stop being the victim, and to really kind of go, what do you have to lose?
Yeah.
What you can stay stuck and think your old thoughts. That's your free will. But get curious, and
Yeah.
always know that there is the ability to choose differently, and there's always some sort of a greater love there for you. Religious, spiritual, biological, you name it, it's there for you.
Beautiful. You can always reach out and grab it.
Yeah. And people have the clues too. That's what I've learned too, is I had this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine, and it was this idea of everything's inside of us, but at the same time, we don't always know the answers.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Lots of things, but a lot of times you can get the signs and synchronicities from the universe, from God, and from other people, because life works in mysterious ways. And her perspective that we were talking about is, we're not meant to know everything individually, because we are one perspective, and your perspective is a little bit different than mine.
Yeah.
It's maybe your truth is slightly different, but it's maybe different information that can help me, which in turn can help you. And that's how the collective works.
Yeah.
So we need each other. We
Yeah.
need each other for the biological, the connection, the physical, the spiritual, and all that. And that heals in itself. So if you say another word of advice is, find your flock, find your people,
Yeah.
find the ones that resonates with you, that can really empathize and be real with you. That's so healing in itself. Don't go this life alone.
Is it important you to open that flock up to people that that may be lost or may not know where their flock is? How would you recommend somebody to find their flock?
Define?
Yeah.
Sure. So a couple ways. Get curious. Start looking for like-minded individuals. A side note before inserts, but I read this random quote, not quote, but this article on the internet that said, where do most people meet their spouses? And it was like all these things, and one of the high ones was they just met at events that they have mutual interest in.
Yeah.
And it's like, find things that you love. Don't go, in my opinion, searching for I need a friend type thing.
Yeah.
That's okay. Go to something that you love. Go to the passion. Go to what lights your fire up, and make it a communal thing. And even if you're shy or even whatever, you're just being you.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily something that needs to be quote unquote done. It's like you're just doing you and you're doing life, but at the same time you have an intention. Everything's intention.
Yeah.
I want to be around cool people. I want to be around people that understand me and that accept me. I want to be around, the people that I'm attracted to, because I want to be, inspired. And the 5 people around me are, usually make up, your level of success, as
Yeah.
you've probably heard before. Know that it's important, but then go out and just be you and enjoy the process of it. That's what I would say.
I can speak the truth on all of that. Like finding authenticity in yourself can guide you, and most likely will guide you into your flock. Whether your flock is massive or it's a little or it's a tiny bubble, but being your most true authentic self to yourself, and just being you. If you're weird and you like to yell randomly, like, go own it, just do it. If you like to dance weird and like just be a weirdo. I mean, I feel like everybody has called me a weirdo throughout my life, if they're my real friends. At one point.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And then you say, nobody normal ever accomplished anything amazing.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to be your authentic self. Go out and be found, and find your community and your flock, because everybody deserves to be loved and acknowledged for who they are, as weird as it may be or anything like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Sometimes I get into these very big, I'll call it philosophical, deep, emotional thoughts and feelings, and I enjoy them. But they used to get me down a lot more. And some people will go, "What's the point of life?" or "What's the point of all this?" And I don't get there anymore like that, but I still get down.
Is it lack of understanding, kind of?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes just when you're just super off,
Mhm.
and let's say you've gone down your list of things that normally make you feel good, and you're like, all right, I worked out, that didn't work. I meditated, I couldn't meditate, I didn't eat right. Sometimes just life happens, and it's not as simple as, oh, I ate some mangoes and I felt good yesterday, today it's going to be the same.
Right.
Point I'm getting at is, when you're really in those deeper spaces of mind and consciousness and maybe spiritual spaces, I would recommend that everyone just creates a higher purpose for
Yeah.
their life. And that has helped me out more than anything. Higher purpose could be the religious side, God, Jesus, Buddha, something like that, of connecting to a higher power. Could be the highest, greatest form of you, which maybe you call it your higher self, or just embodying through the literal body your best version of you. So just strictly biological, or whatever. Placebo effects are real, create, really believing in yourself. Your higher perspective in life could be your kids. It could be society in general, being the example that you want to see in the world, or the change. Just you being you could be your higher calling.
Yeah.
But really always have something greater than you to attach to connect to give to, especially like, Spirit, God, I'm stuck. Like, I give you my fears and worries, or just something that really makes it feel like life is bigger than you, because we always want to be out of our not always, but we want to have the ability to connect to that grand cosmic game, the beauty of life, and get out of the ego and the stuck processes. I'd recommend that big time, to find your big why, to find your big higher perspective, and it could be multiple things.
Beautiful.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Colter. I appreciate you coming on. This has been a profound and beautiful journey with you, getting to know you, your practices. Um, again, you will be holding space for us at the Arizona Center on May 3rd, I believe, from 1 p.m. to 2:30. And I'm excited for people to get to experience the breath work and meditation and sound healing that you're going to be providing for us.
Get ready to breathe.
Yeah, baby. Thank you for joining us on the New Life Wellness Podcast. Can't wait to see you guys soon.